Hey guys, it's Ben, coach of the Baltimore Oriolus, here with the NPL Tryout Tournament Draft Analysis. So, for those of you who don't know, the NPL used to be like the best of the best, the most competitive league in existence. But towards the end of last season, there was some drama and a lot of the really good players left, so it's not quite as cool as it used to be, but I mean, it's still the NPL, it's still really cool. Let's hop right into the draft. So, it was, as you can see on the screen, it was a 9-12 mon draft, and we had 115 points at our disposal, and Z captains were 25 points, so I had the second overall pick in my pools, which is pretty cool. And in every single pool, Tapu Koko went first overall, and Celesteela went second overall. So yeah, we got Celesteela. Everybody already knows what this thing does, so there's really no point in talking about it. It's an amazing tank. I just wish it had a more reliable form sustain other than like Leech Seed, Lefties Protect. But if it did have more reliable sustain, it would probably be banned from Draft League because it would be way too good. Literally, there's nothing else to say about Celesteela. Other than, I mean, I guess, I used Celesteela once before. I kind of think it's a little bit overrated. It's still a phenomenal Pokemon, of course. It's just that, again, like, it's a tank, but it doesn't really have reliable sustain, so, I mean, it feels like it can't really fill its own role all that well, but, I mean, it does have an amazing move pool. It can be a setup sweeper, it can be a tank. Generally, my draft strategy is draft the most busted thing on the board and build from there. And most of the time, that results in me having like full hyper offense teams, and I kind of figured out that I'm not the best with hyper offense, so I'm trying to get more balance here. So that's the thing I do try to keep in mind later in the draft. But next up, since I am like basically the wheel, let's talk about both of these together. We got Terrakion and Mega Gardevoir. These two really help with my offense. Duh. Terrakion is an incredible wall breaker, same with Gardevoir. They can also both be setup sweepers, as Gardevoir does get Calm Mind, Terrakion gets, like, you know, Swords Dance, Rock Polish. Terrakion is also a great Z Captain, and as it is 14 points, I can get an 11-point Z Captain later on in the draft, which was the plan, so Terrakion is indeed going to be one of my Z Captains. Both of these are just very strong Pokemon. Something pretty cool is that Gardevoir really gets stopped by the Steel types, and Terrakion blows back the Steel types, both with stab close combat, and if it's something like a Mega Mawile, well, that'll always be an issue, but Earthquake is still doing damage to it. It'll make it not want to switch in, so Terrakion and Gardevoir provide a nice offensive core right off the bat. Plus with Gardevoir, I've already got like my Steel Dragon Fairy core going. I just need to get a dragon later on. Speaking of a dragon, next up, we got Goodra. I planned on getting this thing from the start because I've seen Celesteela Goodra cores, and my goodness, what breaks it? Because, alright, Celesteela's weaknesses. Electric and Fire. What are most electric and fire moves, like Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, etc.? How about physical electric and fire moves? Maybe like Wild Charge, Thunder Punch. There aren't a lot of great physical electric moves, unless I'm really stupid. Yeah, it's basically just like Wild Charge, Thunder Punch. That's about it. Maybe like Fusion Bolt if you've got a Cure in Black. As for fire moves, you got what? Flare Blitz, Sacred Fire if you're an Entei. But yeah, Goodra sponges up every like main electric and fire move in the game. And what are Goodra's weaknesses? You know, Dragon, Fairy, Ice, Celesteela resists Dragon and Fairy. So this is just an incredible defensive core. The only thing that the Goodra Celesteela core is missing is, you know, like reliable sustain. Because again, Celesteela doesn't have reliable sustain. Goodra doesn't have reliable sustain. Like they're only like Goodra's only sustain is like rest, which is kind of sad. So that's where good Wish Passers come into play, which is why next 2 rounds I got Willambola and Umbreon. So this is turning into a very bulky team. First up, Willambola. Very nice Wish Passer. I've had a lot of success with it in the past. The only thing is that it's kind of set up fodder in a way, because, you know, it doesn't really break a lot of subs. That's why I like running Physical Willambola with, like, Liquidation, occasionally Wake Up Slap, because that's always fun. I mean, sometimes, of course, you gotta run Ice Beam, sometimes you gotta run Scald. It really does just depend on the matchup, but I do love Physical Willambola. So yeah, Willambola, what I really love about it is that it gets Regenerator. Because, you know, you wish up, you don't have to, like, click Protect to spend a turn healing yourself before healing up your ally. You can just click Wish, then switch hard into the ally, heal up both mons at the same time. That's what I really love about Willambola. It just does its job so well. But again, setup fodder, that's just a bit of an issue. But I mean, with mons like Mega Gardevoir that bypass sub anyway, with like its main move Hyper Voice, it's not too much of an issue, I guess. So Willambola is just really nice for this team. Next up, like I said, Umbreon. I haven't used Umbreon in a while, but when I did, my goodness, I loved it. So it does things. It's basically a dark type of Willambola, except that it can actually break subs with, like, you know, foul play, and it does have a more diverse move pool, I think. I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's been a while since I've used it. It doesn't have Regenerator, of course, but it does have a lot more special bulk. It doesn't have nearly as high of an HP stat, but it's a much more mixed tank, because, you know, on the special side, Willambola can't exactly sponge up hits very well, but that's where Goodra comes into play, because, again, electric resist. It's even got Sap Dipper for our grass immunity. So Goodra plus Aloe is a really good core on its own, but again, we've got a Celesteela in the mix, and an Umbreon just for good measure. So this is turning into a very bulky team. Umbreon also gets, like, what? Baton Pass from Momentum. It gets Heal Bell if I want a Cleric. Taunt. It's a lot of good stuff. It can be a Stall Breaker, because it's just a little slow for a Stall Breaker in my opinion, but it's a very solid Wish Passer. So we've got two really good Wish Passers to couple with the Goodra Celesteela core. So, next up, we got that 11-point Mon. We got Salazzle. Salazzle's a pretty nice Z-Captain, so Salazzle plus Terrakion will be my Z-Captains for this tournament. Salazzle really helps with my speed tiers, as my fastest Mon was Terrakion, so we got that boosted up to 117. Gives me a Fire type, gives me the Poison type. It's really cool because it can, you know, poison other Poison types, which otherwise might give my other Mons a problem. Because I don't have a ton for Poison types. I mean, I got the Gardevoir with the Psychic moves and crap. But yeah, Salazzle is really nice there. Plus, I mean, it's just a really solid wall breaker because you click Nasty Plot, and what's their switch in? Just so fast, so powerful, it's really nice. Of course, it's not exactly bulky, but that's what the rest of the team is for. What else does Salazzle add to the table? Not much. I pretty much covered everything that it does. But yeah, it gives me another more offensive Mon, because like I said, the team's pretty defensive up to this point. So let's add to the defense. We got Snorlax next. At this point in the draft, I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to get next, but I noticed Snorlax was on the board. That gives me a normal type, which, I mean, it's not really necessary to have a normal type on every draft, but, you know, I got the Gardevoir there, and, well, I mean, Umbreon is a really good Ghost Resist, but Snorlax gives me another, just for good measure, because why not? And also, it's just 11 points. It's an amazing Mon. Really forces the opponent to prep hard for it, because, you know, Curselax is always really scary. Even Belly Drum Snorlax could be a threat. Even, like, you know, Banded. Snorlax has a number of different sets it can bring. It's all matchup based, of course. Plus, you know, gives you another tank, so why would I not pick it up? Just really helps out with the team. Next, we got Gligar, because, oh my goodness, I need hazard control. Like, my only hazard setter up to this point in Terrakion, I don't have a single hazard remover. So Gligar fills both of those roles. Of course, I don't want to have to run Defog and Stealth Rock on the same set every week. So that's annoying, and as you'll see later, this is my only hazard remover, so that's, like, really, really annoying. In fact, that's probably the biggest flaw with my draft. If there's anything I would go back and change, that would be it. Gligar is just forced to come to, like, it's just forced to come to, like, every game, and man, I really screwed myself over with that one, didn't I? But regardless, Gligar's a decent Mon. Gives me another physical tank, which, again, bulky team. So let's review quickly, shall we? Celesteela is an amazing mixed tank. Goodra is an amazing special tank. Willambola is an amazing physical tank. Umbreon's an amazing mixed tank, particularly on the special side. Snorlax is an amazing special tank. Gligar is an amazing physical tank. My goodness. So, at this point in the draft, I have 9 points left. I'm missing, like, a grass type and electric type. That's really about it. So some things that my team could be weak to would be, like, you know, a strong fighting type with, like, Ice Punch, because my fighting resists are Gligar and Gardevoir. Gardevoir isn't really a resist, and Gligar is, you know, weak to any Mon with Ice Punch. So that's something I really have to keep in mind with these last few picks. Also, my team's kind of weak to Bolt Beam, because my electric resists, well, yeah, my electric resists are Goodra and Gligar. Of course, Gligar gets blown back by any ice move. Goodra can sponge up Ice Beams pretty okay, but that doesn't mean it wants to be sponging them up. Because again, it is still weak to ice, and like, if my opponent has something like a Weavile or a Mamoswine, we have issues. And that is not a good thing. So, we have a maximum of 3 slots left with 9 points. I considered a number of different things. I consider getting, like, Rotom Mow, because that would give me another hazard remover, but at the same time, my team is still really weak to Bolt Beam, so I decided to take it one mana. Well, no, I didn't take it one mana at a time at all. What am I saying? I had this planned out. So my next 3 mons, we got Gatha Rita, Tangela, and Lantern. Let's talk about it one at a time. Gatha Rita, I wanted to pick this thing up first because, you know, everyone's wrapping up their drafts. They're going to get those 1-point mons. Gatha Rita is 1 point with Shadow Tag. That's such a steal. Gatha Rita really helps me out against those fighting types because, you know, it could trap them and it could be a little scary boy or girl. So yeah, every fighting type will be forced to run, like, you know, close combat, ice punch, you know, if it gets it, and it'll also be fearing potentially getting trapped by Gatha Rita, so it'll really make my opponents think twice about bringing their fighting type. So Gatha Rita, for just being 1 point, it adds so much to my team, and even if I don't bring it, it forces my opponent to prep for it, and that alone just really helps, like, you know, Snorlax, Umbreon, my fighting weak mons. So I wanted to get Gatha Rita before my other 2 mons because, you know, people are going to be wanting to get those cheap mons, those 1-point mons, as their drafts are wrapping up. So I wanted to get that before anyone else could. So next up we got Tangela. I always draft, it feels like I always draft Tangela, man, but it's just such a steal. Very bulky for just being 4 points. Regenerator for sustain, like I said about a Willambola, it's so good because you just switch out and it heals up just like that. You don't need to spend a turn healing. Very physically bulky. It gives me a solid 1,000 arrows resist. I mean, I do have a couple of ground immunities, but if I go up against a Zygarde, I need a solid switch in. Tangela is always a solid switch in. Maybe I'll force them to run 1,000 waves and Toxic as some whack set instead of bringing, like, the standard good Zygarde sets. So Tangela, again, just like Gatha Rita, it adds, even if I don't bring it, it forces my opponent to prep for it and bring whack sets that they otherwise would otherwise be able to bring, like, really good sets. So even Tangela is just so good, man. And it doesn't have as much of the sub problem with Willambola because it has a high enough special attack stat and a decent enough move pool to where it can break most subs. You can just slap HP Fire, HP Ice depending on the matchup. You know, Giga Drain is okay. Even Ancient Power if you really need to. It gets a decent enough move pool. I mean, sometimes my opponent might have, like, a Scizor and a Zygarde, and they could, like, choose to set up a sub with one of them. Generally, I'd run HP Fire for the Scizor, because, you know, I could run, like, Energy Ball to break the Zygarde sub. But if it's, like, fully spit up, then I don't break a sub, and then problems arise. Shout out to Jack last season of UPA. So Tangela is really nice for just being 4 points. And I have 3 EVO Light Mons all in a row. And lastly, we got Lantern because, like I said, my team's kind of weak to Bolt Beam. The Lantern really does fill that hole pretty well. Just 4 points, pretty decently bulky mon. I haven't used it in a while, that's because I realized it wasn't really that great, but on this team, it does fill the roles that I needed to fill. So I still needed that electric type. Lantern gives me a decent enough electric type, it's okay. It does get support moves like Heal Bell, Thunder Wave, you pick up, like, Scald Burns and whatnot. It's not all that bulky, it's not all that powerful, but it does its job okay. It gives me a really good Bolt Beam switch in. And for example, mons like Tapu Koko, mons like Thundurus, mons like Raichu, that's not really a threat, but a lot of electric types won't really be able to touch Lantern because their best coverage options are, like, maybe Grass Knot, maybe Shadow Ball. Thunderbolt, of course, Lantern's immune with Volt Absorb. It's just not going to be doing much because, you know, most electric types are also going to be forced to run HPS for the Gligar. Lantern resists that. Again, Bolt Beam. It just adds so much to the team. And I'm really happy with my low tier picks. It's just that, again, lack of hazard control. Like, again, 2 hazard setters, 1 remover. You know, if I could go back and change something, I might consider, like, dropping Tangela for Sandslash, because I do love base Sandslash. It's a really underrated mon. Decent rapid spinner, decent hazard setter. Having the 2 ground types that are both hazard setters and removers could be a bit redundant, but I mean, Tangela doesn't do a ton. I mean, like I said, it's really nice for, like, Zygarde teams, but otherwise, I do have other mons for Earthquake. You know, I have a Celesteela and a Gligar, so in that regard, Tangela would probably be the most expendable mon on my team, so something like Sandslash would be a decent replacement, decent enough. Obviously, you can't go back and change anything, but it is what it is. Other than that, I think the team is really solid. The team is very, very bulky, not terribly offensive. It's kind of like a mix of a stall and balance team. It's basically the opposite of what I've been playing of hyper offense. I do still have those HO mons like Terrakion, Gardevoir, Salah, even Snorlax can be pretty offensive. Same with like Celesteela and Goodra. While they are mostly defensive, they also do have their offensive presence. Lantern and Tangela have enough offensive presence, not a ton. Gatha Rita just makes people mad. Gligar, Umbreon, Aloe. This is just a very bulky team, and I think I can make it work out. So, something else about Lantern. It also is a good switch into the things that might want to hurt Celesteela because, you know, electric immunity, fire resist, very specially bulky. This team just rounds itself out so well. I love it to death. But again, hazard control. So, that's the team we drafted for the NPL Tryout tournament. So, yay. And I guess I didn't really mention this at first, but this is just the Tryout tournament. Depending on how well we do in this tournament, that like will increase or decrease our odds of getting into the actual league. I kind of forgot to mention that at the start of the video, but regardless, that's our team. We are in a pool with like what, Vepsis, excellent name, Jacob. I don't know who this Jacob is. It's not Jacob as always. Carney, who's already in NPL, and one other dude who I can't remember off the top of my head. But Vepsis is going to be the hardest challenge in the pool for sure, because he's a very solid player. But I already have built for him, and I think my team is okay. I think I stand a chance against Vepsis. Of course, I'll have to try hard against all the other dudes, because it's only top 2 out of the 6 guys in the pool that will be advancing to brackets. And I want to make brackets. I want to win this thing. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you during my pool games, because this is upload required, because NPL is an upload required league. And you know, that's kind of what this Tryout tournament is for, not only for skill, but also for the admins to see everybody's YouTube content and crap. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon.